Welcome back. This is Bhavani Kola. What if I told you that I take discussion boards from my class and turn them into something fun, interactive, and immersive for my students without knowing a single line of code using Claude Sonnet? And here my students can take a look at the preparation that worked for them and their classmates. They can take a look at the study strategies that were challenging, that were working, challenging topics that were not just challenging for them, and they're not alone in the class. The resources that worked, they can click on the resources as well. And as you can see, and here they can also take a self-assessment really quick and get a personalized feedback that I trained the model to give them. Hey, my name is Bhavani Kola. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, this channel is all about educational tools, tips, technology, and AI. So if you don't want to miss out on all the fun, please make sure you subscribe. In today's session, we'll be diving deeper into how to take all the discussions, turn them into something fun and immersive using AI, Claude Sonnet, and let the AI do the heavy lifting for us. So let's dive right in. To start off, let me go ahead and show you what the discussion post was. This was my discussion post in my precalculus class. I asked my students to give me the reflection of the test, what worked for them, what did not, study strategies that helped them prepare, how different were they, what did they do, and instructor feedback, which is very important to me. What do they want? What can I do to make sure that they succeed in the class? And what can I do to improve myself? Because, we educators improve every single day, every semester. We learn something new and we become better educators. And I also asked them to share the resource that worked for them, and maybe they want to share with the classmates. And as you can see, I have all these detailed discussions, and these are very valuable. This is a raw data, but very valuable data for me. And for me to go through all these pages of information, remember, and give them a feedback that is worth their time is really exhausting for me. And I have 80 to 85 students in my classes, so I used AI to do the heavy lifting, and this is what I came up with. I mean, can you imagine creating something like this without knowing a single line of code? So today I'm going to show you how I did that using Claude Sonnet. The first thing you have to do is to take your discussions, of course. You print them, you copy them, you paste them, but one thing you have to make sure is you do not have your student name and information in there. Once I have this, once I have all the information, making sure I check, recheck, this is where it's time taking, because you have to copy and paste every single discussion, or you can download and take off all the names. But if your discussion board is anonymous, that's even more better. You can download all the discussions. So here I'm on my Claude Sonnet. Once I have the PDF ready to go, I upload the PDF into Claude and I say, carefully analyze the attached documents. Read every page, every line at least twice to ensure a thorough understanding, because this feedback is not only valuable for them, but for me too, because they're improving and I'm improving. These documents contain discussions from my precalculus class, and my goal, it's very important you let the AI know what your goal is. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see. In here, I said, my goal is to gain the insights into student experience in an online class. Specifically, I want to understand how they prepare their challenges and how I can improve engagement and success rates. Organize the data into 4 categories. This is because that's how I asked them. That's how I wanted the feedback. Test reflection. How many students felt well prepared? Because I teach math, numbers always make sense to me. I always like to create dashboards to tell them, look, you're not alone. There are other students struggling with you too. So feel free. Your class is your comfort zone or safe space. And how many students felt well prepared for the test? Provide both raw and percentages. Numbers, I tell you, list all the factors they mentioned that influence their preparation. And I gave them examples like time management, difficulty of material, personal challenges. How many students achieved their goal they hoped for? Provide both numerical and percentage data. I mean, you can customize this prompt based on what you want, what the output you're expecting from the discussions. Because I wanted a detailed output and I know I wanted to create a dashboard, this is the information that I'm asking. And again, if you don't know, you can always use Claude or any AI tools to enhance your prompt. And I said, summarize the explanation of what they did and did not achieve their desired grade, and list all the study methods used, like practice problems, study groups, flashcards, rewatching lectures. Indicate how many students used each method, because I really want to know what worked for the students, for the majority of the students, and what did not work. And I say, identify which strategies worked well based on their feedback. Summarize what students plan to do differently next time to improve their performance. Because giving discussion is the first step to understanding what my students are going through. And of course, it is to make sure that they get a better grade, I perform and teach better in my classes. So I always wanted to ask them, what are you going to do different next time so you can improve your grade? That gives them that accountability. And instructor course feedback, list all the suggestions and recommendations students provided on how I can better support them in the class. Summarize feedback on test structure, review sessions, and overall course experience, because all of this cumulatively makes a whole lot of difference. I don't want my test to be too easy. At the same time, I don't want my reviews to just mimic my tests. And I also want to know, how is the overall class performing in the experience? What if they feel like they're not able to reach me? What if they feel like I'm not doing a good job, but I think I am? So all of that feedback is very important. And identify any recurring themes or common concerns, because this is very important. Going through all those 85 discussions and keeping those in mind, it is kind of tedious. So I just okay, give me all the recurring themes and common concerns that my students have, so I can start with those small milestones. Resource sharing. And I said, please provide a list of all the resources students felt, like textbook, online tools, videos, peer discussions. Indicate how many students recommended each resource, because if I have 50 different resources, that's a no-no. Based on the numbers, if majority of them recommended that means that's a good resource. Data and insights. I want the numbers and the percentages of students who felt prepared versus unprepared, students who received the desired grade, and the commonly cited challenges, concepts, frequency of difficult strategies. So all of this is, again, this prompt has been enhanced and customized based on what I want from the discussion boards, because numbers make a whole lot of sense to me. What I wanted my students to see, that if they were well prepared, they did get the desired grade. It's like a correlation, right? And I wanted them to see that. So, but if no matter what course you're teaching, if you want the output of your discussion to be something, you always start with the output. But planning is the number one key. So this is what I desired my dashboard to be, my discussion feedback to be. So that's how I enhanced it. Once I enhance it, things become so simple. All I have to do is just upload the document, and here what it does. Let me minimize it just a little bit so you can see. And it's giving me the students, number of students that were prepared, they were not prepared, procrastination, test anxiety. And again, this is just not one class. So I take this information, the same prompt, and upload the documents of all 3 discussion boards without the students' personal information, which is very, 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 very important. And once I have all of that, again, same prompt, different PDF document. It is giving me a complete structure of everything. So I take all of this, and then what I do is I make it into a one big document. So if you observe closely, none of my documents have any student personal information. It's only what they're recommending and telling me if they were prepared or if they're not prepared. This is for all my classes. Just take a look at all of this data. Do you think it would be humanly possible for me to accumulate all of this just with one glance? Of course not. So once I have all the documents ready, condensing all my student information, I take that, upload it into Claude, and here is my prompt. Let me zoom right in. Okay, and here's my prompt. I say, create a comprehensive interactive HTML simulation. It's very important to make sure you ask Claude to give you in one single file. I asked for HTML simulation, one single file, because I don't want to copy and paste my CSS and JavaScript. Everything has to be in one, so I can copy, boom, it's done. And then I also said include chart.js if you want your charts to be smooth then make sure you include that. You can try without that to see what happens. You know what the best thing to do is to ask Claude. I've seen Claude is the number one in coding and user interface, the UX design. It's outstanding. So you can ask Claude to suggest what you need to use so your simulations can be perfect. And all of these prompts, I've been using Claude to enhance my prompt, give me suggestions. So once it gives me all the suggestions, I condense it, and this is what I have. What the simulations should include is interactive tabs. And I also mentioned what tabs do I want. Show how prepared students felt, the factors affecting study strategies, display which strategies students used and the effectiveness, challenging topics. I asked for helpful resources, and I also asked for self-assessment. Now, keep in mind, all of this is not my brain. I've been using Claude to help me get and ask me, what do you think would be the best for this discussion so my students can understand what other classmates are going through and how it can help them. So Claude has given me some suggestions and said, try to include this, try to include this. I pick and choose from what I want, and this is how I condensed my prompt. Visualization charts. You want a pie chart, you want a bar graph, you want a scattered plot, you want a heat map, totally up to you. You can specify whatever charts you want, but if your students are not aware of charts, then maybe keep it very basic, and because it's pre-calculus and not statistics, I just said use a clear pie chart and bar graph. I can use line graphs too, but just keep it minimal. And personalized feedback. Students, I did want something for my students to go ahead and give them a personalized feedback, and I wanted Claude to give me some options. So I said personalized feedback for students, self-assessment about their current preparation level, topics they find challenging, and after submitting, they received tailored recommendation based on the class data and successful student strategies. This is very important. I just didn't want them to give suggestion. I wanted my suggestions to be based on the class data. That is, what are other students suggesting? And that's the suggestion I wanted to give my students, because this is, again, discussion, peer comments. So it's a community that my students are in, and I wanted them to benefit from that community. And the key data should include preparation levels. 23% were prepared, 27% somewhat prepared. Grade achievement, you can include as much information as you want. And once I had this, I said this interactive tool will help students understand patterns in the class data. Trust me, students will make sure they do not ask you questions on the fear of being judged. But if they see that they're not alone and the other students are facing the same test anxiety, they were not prepared, they did that in the last moment, they kind of feel comfortable in those classes and they feel the class is a safe space. And trust me, they'll ask you many more questions. When I post on my discussions, I have 50% of the students being comfortable and posting on the discussion boards, and the other 20% always use emails because they don't want others to see what questions they're asking. And I'm okay with that as long as they're reaching out to me. In here it says it transforms the static feedback data into engaging experience, and that encourages reflection and adoption of successful strategies. The goal for this discussion reflection is to see what works and adapt those strategies. And here I said, make the simulation fun, engaging for students. I always put this, I said, use your expertise and bring the simulation to life. This is just my thing, because this AI tools have so much knowledge and and they're experts in user interface, product management, software simulation, multiple things which I'm not aware of. So I always ask it to use its expertise and bring my simulations to life. So the goal is to help students understand their feedback. I typed to wrong and let them know that they're not alone. At the same time, motivate to improve them and learn, make it out of the box experience. Once I do that, it is looking at the interactive dashboard, and I'm going to click in here. It has already started to give me what it's going to look like, but it also has an error, and it completely finishes it, and it's still creating the code. As you can see, it has created 29 different versions. So it has given me another code, but it was constantly refreshing. So I said, why is the page always refreshing? If it doesn't give you what you want, you can and you should ask questions. Sometimes taking a screenshot and putting it and say, this is what you gave me, this is what I asked, also helps. And as you can see, this is constantly refreshing, and I'm going to show you all different versions. If you can see, 5th version, 6th version, 7th version, 8th version, 9th version, 10th version, all these different versions, it's still refreshing. So at some point, I kind of got exhausted of asking. And of course, Claude is going to run into that token limit, and it's going to say, you know what, the limit is done, and it still is refreshing. So at some point I got tired, and what I did was I took that code and copied into a fresh window and said, here's the code. This keeps showing me that this is loading, but it's not loading. Check the code and fix it. Do not change the UX or the CSS code. That means don't change the user interface. I like the way it is. Do not change the colors. I like the way they are. Just fix the code. And it says, okay, let me analyze it. And then it fixes the code. And here is the code. So here's the colors that I like. I'm simply going to copy it. In here, I have a notepad, just plain notepad. You're going to paste all of this in your notepad, and you will save as, this is very important, you will save as index.html. Make sure you know where you're saved. I'm going to save it in trigonometry right here, and I'm just going to click save. And there I have it. You can also say, I don't like the colors and I want you to enhance the colors. But take a look at all of this animations, simulations. Do you think I could ever be able to code all of this? And this is all the coding. This is all the coding, my friends. So here is my chart. And again, you can specify how many pages you want, what simulations you want, what you want in each page. Here it also gives the plans for improvement. How many students said that they're going to start studying early for the next test, improve time management, utilize tutoring. And here also it gave the quotes from the students. I asked it to do that so it can feel real. Here I have preparation, factors influencing preparation. So 7 of my students felt that they were procrastinating. You know, everybody does. Work commitments, multiple tests, test anxiety, confidence issues, calculator issues. And this is again the numbers from my students. And here, challenging topics. Again, you don't like the colors, make sure they're ADA compliant, but you can always ask it to change the colors, and you can give a color code that it can use. Here are all the different challenges that they face. The resources, all different resources, but here is the main one that I published. And here are the resources. As you can see, I changed some colors. They can click and visit the link that the students have suggested. And they can also click on self-assessment. This is what I really wanted Claude to give me, so that students can have that little takeaway when they're done with the discussion. And as you can see, it does give the confetti too. Here's a quick glance of what I've been doing with all these simulations. Not just for my discussions, I've been using them to make my classes more immersive, like I said. Here's a flip card. As you can see, they can click on the next and they can have a flip card. Here they have a calculator that they can go ahead and calculate. Here they have practice problems, and in my other flip card, they also have visualizations where they can look at inverse tan, inverse cosine, and here it's a simple H2O reaction, and I can start, and as you can see on the screen, the hydrogen and oxygen molecules are trying to combine to become water molecules. I can add oxygen, I can add hydrogen. That's for chemistry. And here is my enhanced class calculator that my students, all they have to do is move the slider back and forth, and they have the class grade. Here I also have my unit circle. I can move back and forth and they can get the unit circle value. Here I have interactive water molecules again. I can increase the temperature right here. I have interactive periodic table, and I also have emotional tone of Shakespeare's Hamlet, and they can see in graphs. I mean, who could have imagined that? Here they can see the sadness, here they can see the joy, here they can see the tension. And here is my correlation network that I've created using some fun things where students can see the correlation between Cybertruck, Tesla, an electric bike. They can see Apple, iPhone, and iPad, and so many fun things that we can do. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope you learn how to take your normal class and make it into immersive irrespective of what subject you're teaching. If you'd like me to make more videos on how I have been doing this so you can do the same in your classes, please comment in the comment section below. And if you enjoy this, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Like always, happy teaching, and please take care of yourself.